GustaveM by Sarah Antonick. Hercules and the Lernaean Hydra. This painting impressively looms over its viewer at a 70.6 by 60.2 inches. Framed in a thick 2-inch golden frame, the outer edges of the frame protrude from the painting in an elaborate embroidered pattern. The tone of the gold frame impressively marks the same pale golden undertones the painting itself portrays. Walking by this painting, it is impossible not to stop and stare. The amazing spectacle this painting produces is one that mixes all elements of death, sublime beauty, and dreamlike quality, coexisting so beautifully together it haunts you. Don't worry, however, this is one of the pieces that can be viewed sitting down, which also suggests why the painting is hung fairly further up on the wall. While sitting to view this piece, its meaning comes out in the narrated voice of symbolic nature representing figures of biblical and classical myths, painted rather abstractly. People observing next to me in the museum would pause at this piece and linger for several minutes, seemingly trying to place each aspect of this painting into its correct historical or mythical, or simply just staring at awe at the huge rocky formations and contorting their faces slightly at the vicious sight and presence of the seven-headed Hydra. The composition is set up horizontally. Physical lines represent the young hero Hercules standing pompously with curvy and strong masculine features below a terrifying seven-headed serpent-like reptile, which is mangled and erect from the ground. In the foreground closest to the viewer, there are dying, decomposing bodies. Each body seems to be in a different state of decomposition. The colors in the painting stay on a certain morbid-like palette of dreary white to light gold to various colors of hunter or dark green to black. The brightest colors seem to be worn by Hercules, with a red satchel on his arm, which carries his sword. Fading off into the distance are the various mountain and cave-like structures. The rocky walls that are closest to the viewer are rugged and wormy. They blend into some of the decomposing bodies in pale green and brown-like colors. As the rocky structures fade into the distance, they turn into white translucent structures, blending in with the dreary pale white sky. These translucent rock structures end up being the backdrop for bringing out the intensity of the seven-headed Hydra that stands before it. The events that are portrayed happening in this painting seem to be taking place in a Z-shaped narrative. First, the viewer's eyes start by scanning the sky and the top of the rocky walls. Next, they fall downward to the Hydra, pausing slightly to look down further to Hercules, who stands before him, and finally back across the foreground in which the bodies lay. It is almost a sort of nightmare, rarely seen or heard or told in its time. It was the ending of the 18th century when the painting was completed, defining symbolism into Moreau's work. The new understanding of creativity of the unconscious and its potential informs Moreau's statement of his expressive aims. Moreau sought over the effect of le rêve fixé, which means the sleepwalking of life. He wanted to evoke a higher contemplation of all things that are spiritual, descriptive, and mysterious. He didn't know it, but he was fighting over his claim to be one of the first innovative symbolism painters of his time. Together, all the elements that declare him as a symbolist and tie this painting together are seen to produce a particular kind of tension, which ties the physical nature of the divine mystical situation that involves each painting with sublime kind of beauty. It was a wonderful leap from realism and romanticism. He creates here a style that holds no specific mold to any time or era.